Liam stepped off the shuttle and looked around. The space station was silent, floating in the darkness above a dead planet. Lights buzzed softly. Metal walls stretched down long halls. Soldiers walked past him without a word. No one paid attention to the thin man in a gray jacket holding nothing but a notebook. He didn't wear a gun. He didn't even wear armor. He didn't need to. Liam wasn't a soldier. He was a translator. He had trained for years to understand alien languages, and he was the best Earth had. That's why he was sent here. To help with the peace talks between humans and the Drakari, a powerful alien empire that once tried to destroy Earth. Now, they sat at the same table, pretending to talk peace. But the galaxy didn't trust the Drakari, and Earth trusted them the least. Liam walked into the meeting room. It was cold. There were 3 human generals on one side of the long black table, and 3 Drakari commanders on the other. The Drakari were tall, with blue skin and glowing red eyes. They looked down at Liam when he entered. One of them raised an eyebrow, surprised. "This is your translator?" he asked with a sneer. Liam didn't respond. He simply nodded and sat down, opening his notebook. He began to write in silence. The generals kept talking. So did the Drakari. Liam's pen moved slowly. He didn't look nervous. He didn't even blink much. He just listened, carefully, too carefully. The Drakari leader, Commander Solon, spoke in a strange dialect. It was old, full of hidden meanings. Most translators would miss the small words inside the bigger message, but Liam caught everything. He noticed a strange sentence spoken in a soft voice. "The prey walks into the trap." Solon smiled when he said it, but it didn't sound like a joke. Liam didn't interrupt. He didn't warn anyone. He kept writing. But in his notebook, he didn't translate that part as a joke. He wrote it exactly as he heard it, word for word. The meeting ended after an hour. Everyone stood up. The generals looked tired. The Drakari looked pleased. As they left, Commander Solon walked past Liam and whispered something in his own language. Just one word. Soon, Liam froze. His hand tightened around the notebook. He turned to look at Solon, who was already walking away, his long coat brushing the floor. Outside the meeting room, Liam walked alone down the hallway. No one noticed that he was pale. No one noticed his hands were shaking slightly. He stopped near a window looking out into space. His reflection in the glass didn't show fear. It showed something else, something quiet, cold, and sharp. He pulled out a pen and wrote one more note in his book. "They are planning something, I am sure of it." He paused, then crossed it out and wrote again. "They already started." Later that night, the human officers met in a private room. Liam was there, sitting in the corner. He was quiet while the others argued. "The Drakari seem open to peace," one general said. "We're close to a deal." Liam looked up. "No, you're not," he said softly. Everyone turned to him. Their words sound friendly, but they're hiding something in their speech, a plan, a threat. They don't want peace, they're buying time. "How do you know that?" asked the general. "I heard it," Liam said. "Not directly, but between the lines." The room went silent. One officer leaned forward. "Are you sure?" Liam closed his notebook and looked at him. "Yes." Outside, the stars kept shining, cold and uncaring. Inside, a translator who never meant to fight had just given the first warning. No one knew it yet, but this war hadn't ended. It was only hiding behind false smiles, and Liam, the man with no weapon and no armor, was the first to see it coming. The station lights flickered once, just for a second. Most people didn't notice, but Liam did. He had been up all night sitting at the same table in the quiet briefing room, reading his notes again and again. The words from Commander Solon kept echoing in his mind. Soon. Liam had translated hundreds of alien phrases in his career. That one chilled him. He hadn't told the full truth in the meeting. Yes, the Drakari were hiding something in their speech. Yes, they were planning something. But there was more. Liam had heard a pattern in the way they spoke, a rhythm, like a code hidden in their formal words. It wasn't just a threat. It was a plan with steps, a countdown. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He only listened to the audio recordings again and again, slowing them down, breaking them apart. It was there, a message, passed between the Drakari and the old dialect. Stage 1 is complete. The fire will start in the bones of the ship. Then Earth's voice will go silent. Liam's heart beat faster. He stood up quickly and ran to the command center. Inside, the officers were calm. The station scanners showed nothing unusual. No enemy ships nearby, no alarms. Just silence. But Liam didn't care. He walked straight up to the lead technician. "Check the lower engine rooms," he said quickly. "Right now." "Why?" the man asked, confused. "They're going to destroy this place from the inside." The technician hesitated. "We ran the diagnostics an hour ago." "Run them again," Liam snapped. There was something in his voice, not panic, but certainty. A hard edge. The technician frowned but gave the order. Minutes later, the report came in. Signs of overheating, deep in the engine bay. A hidden device buried in the coolant system. Not a normal bomb, something slow, meant to melt wires and burn power from the inside out. Liam was right. An alert flashed red on every screen. Sirens began to wail. Soldiers ran through the halls. Orders shouted, doors sealed. The calm peace of the station turned to chaos in seconds. And through it all, Liam stood still. The general approached him, eyes wide. "How did you know?" Liam didn't answer right away. He was still listening, still watching. Finally, he said, "Because they told me. They just didn't think I would understand." Suddenly, a loud boom shook the station. Lights died. The floor trembled. Smoke filled the air. Part of the lower deck was gone, blown apart. Fire spread in the distance. Liam ducked, covering his head, but he didn't run. He looked around and saw injured soldiers crawling out of the smoke. And he moved, fast, not like a diplomat, not like a translator. He grabbed a fire tool, broke open a sealed door, and pulled a trapped officer out. Then another, then another. His face was covered in ash. His hands were burned. His notebook was soaked in blood, not his own. The survivors stared at him, shocked. You fought?" one asked. "No," Liam said quietly. "I just helped." But deep inside, something had changed. He was no longer just listening. He was watching, learning, preparing. He found a piece of metal on the ground, shaped like a claw, Drakari tech. He picked it up and looked at it for a long time. He put it in his coat pocket. Then he looked at his own reflection in the cracked glass wall beside him. His face was dirty, blood-stained and tired, but his eyes were calm. Too calm. Far away, Commander Solon watched the chaos from a hidden screen. When he saw Liam helping the wounded, his smile faded. He spoke quietly to the officer beside him. "That man, the translator, we made a mistake." The officer blinked. "He's no threat." "No," Solon said. "He's worse. He's patient." Back on the station, Liam sat down again. He opened his notebook, and he didn't translate words this time. He made a list. 1. Find the hidden agents. 2. Stop the next phase. 3. Make them regret ever speaking in code. He underlined the last one twice. Outside, the stars kept watching. Inside, the translator had begun his own mission, and this time, he wasn't going to wait for permission. Part 3 ChatGPT said. The lights were dim. Smoke still hung in the air like a ghost that wouldn't leave. Repair crews worked day and night to fix the lower decks, but the station didn't feel safe anymore. People walked a little faster, spoke a little softer, looked over their shoulders. Something had changed, and it wasn't just the damage. Liam walked through the halls, his notebook in one hand, a blood-stained bandage around his other. He passed by soldiers with rifles and armor. They nodded at him now. quiet respect. They'd seen the footage. Everyone had. Security cameras caught him during the explosion. No armor, no weapon, pulling injured soldiers from fire and rubble like a ghost moving through hell. But Liam didn't care about the attention. He didn't speak much, he just listened, always listening. He reviewed the old recordings again and again. Something didn't fit. The way the Drakari passed the message, it wasn't normal. It was rushed, desperate, like they didn't have time to follow their full plan. That meant something had forced them to act early. Liam needed to know what. That's when he heard it. A new message. Buried deep in a background voice, barely a whisper. The words were chilling. Phase 2 begins at Earth's gate. Soon the voice of humans will fall silent. Liam stood up slowly. His eyes narrowed. He rushed down the hall toward the control room. Inside, the generals were already tense. One of them looked up. Another warning? Liam nodded. They're going to hit Earth's communication relay. What? That's deep inside secure territory. Liam opened his notebook. Showed the symbols. They're not going to attack it. They're going to silence it from here. A signal is already moving. The room went still. The lead general stared at the data. If that's true, Liam finished for him. Then Earth won't hear. A scream. Suddenly the alarm blared. A red light pulsed above. Someone shouted, "Breach! Deck 12!" Before the soldiers could react, the wall exploded. Alien attackers stormed in, Drakari warriors, sharp armor, glowing blades. Smoke poured in behind them. The humans fired, chaos broke loose. Liam didn't duck this time. He moved. A Drakari soldier rushed toward him, roaring. Liam grabbed a broken pipe from the floor. He sidestepped the attack with perfect timing and slammed the pipe across the alien's helmet. The soldier fell. Another came at him. Liam twisted low, grabbed a blade, and used the attacker's own momentum to drive it into his chest. Blood splashed across the floor and across Liam's jacket. He kept moving. Fast, calm, efficient. Not like a translator, like a weapon. Soldiers around him stopped and stared just for a second. Then one shouted, "He's fighting with us." Liam didn't respond. He didn't need to. He took down 3 more enemies, using their own weapons, their own speed, against them. The hallway was a mess of smoke, bodies, blood, and fire. When it was over, Liam stood at the center. His hands were shaking. His jacket was soaked in blood. He looked down at himself, breathing hard. The general ran up to him. "You're hurt." Liam shook his head. "Not mine." The general stared at him. "What are you?" Liam looked at the alien blade in his hand. "I'm what you get when they think language is our only weapon." Word of the fight spread fast. The humans had survived. Barely. But one image stayed in everyone's minds. The translator, walking out of the smoke, eyes cold, jacket red, blade in hand. The Drakari lost more than soldiers that day. They lost the element of surprise. And worse, they woke something they couldn't understand. Back on their ship, a Drakari officer whispered to Commander Solon, "He's just one man." Solon didn't blink. "No, he's a message." And the galaxy had started listening. They called it luck at first. The soldiers who survived said the translator just moved at the right time. He found cover faster than trained officers. He used pipes, blades, and broken tools like he had practiced with them for years. Some said he fought like he knew what the Drakari were going to do before they did it, but it wasn't luck. Someone pulled up the security footage. Then another, then another. Every clip showed the same thing, Liam moving with precision, calm, sharp, controlled. He wasn't panicking, he wasn't guessing, he was trained. That's when the questions started. In the command center, the generals gathered around a big screen. It played the footage of the hallway battle in silence. Liam stood alone at the center, surrounded by enemy bodies, blood on his hands, a strange blade at his side. One general shook his head. "He's not just a translator." Another said, "We Didn't train him. Then who did? Liam didn't give them an answer. He sat in the medical bay getting his arm stitched after the fight. A nurse asked him softly, "Where did you learn to fight like that?" He looked at her, calm as ever. "I didn't come here to fight." "But you did." Liam didn't reply. That night, he went to his room. He opened a metal case hidden under his bed. Inside was an old badge, not from the Translation Corps, from a program that officially didn't exist, Project Grey Voice. He had joined it years ago when Earth feared something like this would happen. It was simple. What if war came dressed as peace? What if Earth needed someone inside the room, someone quiet, someone they wouldn't see coming? So they built a shadow unit, not soldiers, not spies, something else. Liam was one of only 6 people who passed the final tests. They trained in languages, hand-to-hand combat, alien tactics, and something even more dangerous, patience. He didn't carry weapons because he was one. He didn't talk much because he listened better than anyone. And now, the war they trained for had come. He stared at the badge in his hand for a long time, then closed the case. Elsewhere on the station, people whispered about him. "The translator fought better than our sergeants. I heard he took down 5 Drakari alone. He didn't even blink when he killed that last one." The respect was real. So was the fear. Back in the war room, the generals tried to reach Earth for help. The signal was weak, cut in parts. The Drakari's second phase had already started, scrambling long-distance comms. Earth couldn't see what was happening out here. And that's exactly what the Drakari wanted. Meanwhile, Liam was already one step ahead. He walked into the map room, laid his notebook on the table, and pointed to a location on the star chart. "There," he said. "That's where they're sending the next signal from." "How do you know?" one officer asked. Liam flipped the notebook open. The pages were filled with more than just translations. They were filled with patterns, symbols, hidden words he had decoded. He looked the officer in the eye. "Because they told me." And then he added something he hadn't said before. "Wasn't just trained to speak alien languages, I was trained to think like them." The officer swallowed hard. Liam turned to leave. He had work to do. Outside, ships floated in cold silence. Inside, the man who was never meant to fight had just become something far more dangerous. Not a hero. Not yet. But something close. And the Drakari were beginning to understand. They hadn't just started a war. They had unlocked a weapon that spoke with a human voice and moved like a shadow. The stars outside the station pulsed cold and steady, but inside the air was tense, like something big was coming. People didn't laugh in the halls anymore. They walked in silence, checking corners, whispering rumors. Everyone knew another attack was coming. They just didn't know when. Except Liam. He stood in the dark, staring at the star map alone. The point he had marked earlier still blinked in red. A small moon on the edge of a dead system. That's where the Drakari signal was coming from. Phase 3. He could feel it. The generals had argued with him. "It's a trap," one said. "We don't have enough ships," said another. But Liam didn't wait for permission. That night he slipped out with a small team, 5 soldiers who had fought beside him during the hallway attack. They didn't ask questions, they just followed him. He had earned that much. The stealth shuttle flew low and quiet, avoiding major travel lanes. No lights, no noise. Just the hum of the engine and Liam's steady breathing. When they landed on the moon, it was worse than expected. It wasn't a signal tower, it was a lab. An underground Drakari research station, hidden under layers of rock. And inside it, they weren't just planning. They were building. Weapons, not missiles, not guns. Worse. They were designing sound-based tech, machines that could rewrite language in real time. Systems that could twist human signals, fake voices, create false orders. If they finished, Earth's fleet could be turned against itself with just one command. And Liam understood something horrifying. The Drakari weren't trying to destroy humans, they were trying to control them. The team moved through the halls quiet as ghosts. Liam led the way, memorizing the Drakari signs, translating warnings on the walls. Silence is power. The voice will serve. Then they found the lab's core. One massive chamber, hundreds of devices. Screens full of human faces, recordings of Earth's leaders, soldiers, even Liam himself. They were copying everything. And the machine in the center, it was already running. One of the soldiers whispered, "We have to call this in." "No," Liam said. "They'll shut it down before backup arrives. We finish this now." "How?" Liam walked up to the machine, calm, unafraid, and he spoke. In perfect Drakari. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He used their old code, their sacred language, the one only High Command understood. The guards froze. The machines paused. "What are you doing?" one of the soldiers asked. "I'm giving them a message," Liam said. He stepped forward and whispered one line into the control mic. "The humans are not your prey. We are your end." Then he hit the core with an energy blast. The room exploded in chaos. Fire tore through the walls. Drakari guards fired back. But the human team was already moving. Smoke, gunfire, screams. Liam grabbed one of the copied files and ran. They barely made it out alive. Back on the shuttle, Liam sat in silence, watching the moon burn behind them. The lab was gone, but the files he stole, the evidence, were more important than any weapon. When they returned to the station, no one spoke. The soldiers who went with him spread one story. Liam walked into the enemy's den with nothing but words, and walked out with fire behind him. The generals were stunned. Earth Command, even with broken signals, got the message. And for the first time they truly saw Liam, not as a translator, not even as a soldier, but as something else. Something the galaxy wasn't ready for. A man who could hear war coming and speak it back louder. The Drakari felt it too. Commander Solon watched the fire on the moon from his warship. His hands trembled. One officer said, "It's just one man." Solon shook his head. "No. It's the voice of a species that just woke up." And it was only getting louder. Liam didn't sleep after the mission. He sat alone in the observation deck staring at the stars. The data he had stolen from the Drakari lab lay open in front of him, pages full of twisted messages, language codes, fake Earth orders. The Drakari hadn't just studied humans. They had learned how to imitate them. Soon they could have sent false orders across Earth's networks. Fleets would crash, defenses would fall, and no one would know why. But not anymore. The lab was gone. And now, Earth Command finally believed him. Still, something felt wrong. Too easy. The lab was built in secret, deep underground. But they hadn't defended it well. The guards were slow. The response was weak. Liam flipped through his notes again. Then he saw it. A symbol. One he hadn't noticed before. It wasn't Drakari. It was older. Galactic Union tech. A tracking code. The Drakari hadn't been working alone. They had help. He stood up fast. By the time he reached the command center, Earth's message had just come in. Broken, filled with static, but clear enough to understand. New signal detected. Inside your station. The room froze. Liam grabbed a scanner from the wall and ran. Deck by deck, room by room, he checked for the signal. Until finally, he found it. Buried deep in the medical bay behind a wall panel was a small glowing device. Alien design, hidden tech, a transmitter. It had been recording everything for days, sending it back to the Drakari. Even their victories were being turned into weakness. Liam crushed it with a metal pipe. Then he turned to the officer beside him. Check every system, every door, every voice command. If they placed one, they placed more. And they had. 5 devices found in total, each one hidden in different parts of the station. They had been watching all along. Even worse. Someone on the station had helped them, someone human. Liam sat back down in his quarters, mind racing. There were too many layers now. Not just war, not just spying. This was corruption. He had trained for alien enemies. But not this. He opened a secure channel and spoke in code Earth hadn't used in years. Gray voice protocol. Asset active. Internal. Breach confirmed. Minutes later, a message came back. Short. Cold. Clear it. No backup. No team. Just Liam. He changed clothes. Removed his translator badge. Put on the old gear. The light armor of Gray voice. Black. Simple. Silent. He didn't ask permission. He moved through the halls like a shadow. Interviews. Traps. Recordings. Questions asked with fake smiles and hidden meanings. It didn't take long. He found her, Officer Reen, communications tech, smart, clean record, always helpful, too helpful. Liam followed her after her shift, quiet, careful. When she entered the storage bay, she tapped a panel on the wall. A hidden screen appeared. She spoke in Drakari. Target growing unstable, preparing final phase. Liam stepped into the light. She turned and froze. You? She whispered. Liam didn't speak. He walked forward, eyes locked on hers. I saw your file, she said. You're not supposed to exist. Liam didn't blink. Neither are you. She reached for a hidden blade, but Liam was faster. 3 moves, 1 strike. She dropped. The signal stopped. The final breach was sealed. But Liam didn't smile. He stood in silence, blood dripping from his glove. This wasn't a victory. This was a warning. The Drakari had agents everywhere, and now Liam knew. They weren't fighting a normal war. They were fighting fear, twisting truth, spreading silence. But Liam, he wasn't afraid. He walked back into the station light, jacket dark, face calm. And the whispers followed him. He found the traitor. He stopped phase 3. He's not just a man anymore. And far away on the bridge of the Drakari mothership, Solon watched the latest footage. The translator, now dressed in shadow armor. Solon whispered, "He's not translating us anymore. He's answering." And the galaxy was starting to understand. Earth had been quiet long enough. The war had changed. It wasn't about territory anymore. It wasn't about power. It was about truth. And who controlled it? Liam stood on the deck of the fleet's lead ship, staring out the wide glass window. Earth's signal was finally clear. The relay had been restored, the traitor removed, the stolen tech destroyed. But it wasn't over. The Drakari weren't running. They were coming. A full fleet. Thousands of warships. Bigger than any force Earth had ever seen, and at the center of it, Commander Solon's flagship, the Silence. Liam listened to their transmission. No threats, no demands, just a voice calm and cold. This ends now. The humans will be broken. Their words will vanish. Liam didn't answer right away. He stood there, surrounded by Earth's generals and soldiers. They were scared. But Liam wasn't. He stepped up to the console, opened a direct channel to the entire Drakari fleet, and spoke. Not in English, not in Drakari. He spoke in the ancient root, the original galactic tongue that both sides had long forgotten. Only scholars and spies remembered it. And suddenly, every Drakari screen lit up with his voice. You studied our words, you copied our voice, but you never understood our silence. We don't scream in fear. We wait. And when the time is right, we answer. You wanted to silence Earth. Now, listen to us roar. And with that, Earth's fleet moved. It wasn't just ships. It was strategy. Liam had spent months decoding the Drakari battle rhythms, translating their war songs, understanding how they thought, how they timed their attacks. He flipped it all against them. Earth's ships appeared where they least expected. Strike teams hit weak spots. Defense. Lines shifted perfectly. The Drakari panicked. Commander Solon screamed, "They're reading us before we act." And on every screen, Liam's message played again, a simple phrase, over and over. You broke the treaty. You planted the spy. You burned the first word. Now read our final sentence. Earth didn't hold back. They used everything. Blades, bombs, silence, and Liam. Liam led the final strike team onto the silence itself. He moved like wind. One by one, Drakari soldiers fell. Not because he was the fastest, not because he was the strongest, but because they still didn't understand. He wasn't fighting for Earth. He was Earth's voice, and it was done being quiet. He reached Solon on the command bridge. The Drakari commander raised his blade. Liam didn't flinch. He moved forward. Blocked, twisted. 3 steps, 1 strike. Solon dropped. No last words. Just silence. The kind that meant it was over. Back on the fleet, every human ship played the same short message. The war is done. Earth speaks for itself now. And across the galaxy, something strange happened. Alien leaders, once blind to Earth's warnings, started listening. Some out of fear, some out of respect, all out of shock. Because the translator, the quiet man they once ignored, had ended a galactic threat with nothing more than language, fists, and fury. When Liam stepped off the dropship soaked in blood and ash, soldiers stood and saluted. No one gave him a medal. No one dared ask what came next. They just watched and whispered, he came to translate, but he left and cheered like a hero, and the galaxy would never speak the same way again.